What's going on? What's going on, fam? I have to bring this information to you guys about this particular worm that is being planted and everything that has to do with your brain. Taking over parasitic and light of men. The imagination and light of men. I'm going to put it in the chat. Acting completely idiot. Oh, let me see. Yeah, this video is men where you're asking this information. Now, what's crazy is I just did there are 4 different books that I had information in taught SHAMIR WORM. If you guys are aware or remember, it actually gave, I went over, I think, like 3 different books, but I actually had a total of 4 books that I wanted to go over. I just didn't get a chance to. Now, since I did that video, this news has come out, which is like crazy to me. I'm going to read this to you guys. I don't know if you heard it, but I'm going to that was summoned by Solomon to build his temple, right? He had to go to the to this evil creature, or one was a bird that went to the other prince. I can't remember. I think it was some type of creature that was guarding the one. Solomon sent his fine man that assisted him and everything to go into it, right? So as you guys see, that screen moving. I'm not even touching it. That's crazy. But anyway, the Shamir. I'm gonna show some of the video that I did the other day, so you guys can verify that if you didn't to see a little bit more. The Chinese ancient Chinese black magic called goo. There's poisonous. The Shamir worm. They're not calling it that, but that is exactly what it is because we read all of this information prior, and I'm going to show you again. The tiny bots could enter the human body by moving along blood vessels and attaching itself to the neurons to rise in your brain. Every vessel within your body is a tree, and every ending, every nerve ending connects to your brain. So what it does is it connects, and it actually would be able to penetrate very easily through the neurons, through the electricity and the magnetism in your body. Okay? The tiny robots could enter the human body by moving along blood vessels in a way, it is similar to the goo, said the lead scientist for a project at the Shenzhen Institute of Advanced Technology in Chinese Academy of Sciences. Are not developing a biological weapon, is what they say. It's the opposite. That when they tell you that for biological reasons, you already know they have to tell you that because they're lying. That's exactly what they're doing. This type of technology is not common since many science labs across the globe were able to produce microbots. However, most of them can only do simple tasks. And we've talked about this many a time. The microbots, which are nanoparticles, they are within your system now, more gallons and nanoparticles. Let's watch this. To do the rest in the house is still acting up. A lot of people must be on the internet. Give it a minute. in a series of videos released by China's researchers together with a study published by the Advanced Functional Materials. So you guys can find a lot of weird technical stuff there. It's Advanced Functional Materials. Go check that out. The tiny robot worms can be seen swimming and hurtling through a tube, as well as squeezing through a gap half their body width. How do iRobot worms work? The report explained that the robot worms are powerful by an external magnetic field generator, a magnetic field generator, instead of batteries or computer chips. This allows scientists to manipulate the robot's worm's body by twisting out in many different ways, achieving a wide range of movements such as rolling, crawling, and even swimming. The tiny robots are integrated with infrared radiation, allowing them to contract with their bodies by more than a third so that they can squeeze through tight gaps. It can change its color because of its transparency. The temperature responsive hydrogel structure, giving it invisibility in room temperature water, giving it invisibility in room temperature water. I don't know if you guys understand how that's very important, because if it's invisible, if it's your water tap system, your bathing system, shower, even let's say the beach or somewhere of the sort, it could be in any type of water filtration system and could be used as a biological weapon. Keep this in mind, guys, as they're simplifying this like it's nothing. Scientists used a neodymium iron boron magnet to create its head, while its tail is constructed from a special composite material. Titanium said that it will be used for medical purposes. She explained that the doctors can inject the human body by delivering drugs or medication to a targeted location, such as a tumor. This can provide patients with a fast recovery or a defect in your body. Since the drugs will only focus on the body part that needs it, which means what? It's instructed. It can be contorted to go to this place, that place. It is definitely manipulated. Keep that in mind. Reducing the risk of side effects, it was also explained that the robots can exit the body once it successfully delivered the medicines. So keep that in mind. These are fungus related things. Oh my gosh. But let's get back to the video, guys. I want you guys to see this real quick. So why they manually and insert this worm into I'm putting it is this is the link for what we just the article we read. The video is also in there for you guys, so you can go check that out. Sally Serpent Slayer, thanks for coming in, sis. Mike Prentice, peace, peace, brother. Peace, Big Chief in the house. David Bell, peace, brother. Fullness to you guys, as always. This other video is the first video that's in the chat is the video to the link to the video on the SHAMIR worm. The entire video I did on the imagination and light of men. That particular video has the information from the book in it. As I stated, the book is no longer online. It's phenomenal. As soon as they came out with this China worm thing, my books disappeared, not only offline, but all of the books out of my library on Solomon's Temple, everything that we had read the other day on the SHAMIR worm, it boring through, it building Solomon's Temple, it writing the 10 Commandments, all of that information that we went over, all depleted from the internet. You can still go to Wikipedia and find information on Solomon's SHAMIR worm if you guys are interested. Who's to say how long that'll be up there, since the books have all been removed from the internet. And this has all happened within the last 5 days. I did the video, I think 5 days ago. So what I'm going to try and do, as you guys see, we're having a little problem here with this internet. I'm going to try and show you guys some of this video from the other day, just so you know that we literally just did this video. And it is kind of absurd that at this point, the video is the only proof of being in a particular subject of the SHAMIR worm, because they have all been removed, as I stated. So I'm going to definitely put a little bit of information in this video so that there is another documentation of it, because it is amazing to me. It is just gone, completely wiped out the internet. Hold on one second, guys. I'm going to get that going for you. And make sure that you guys are able to see that. So give me just a moment here. Let's get to that, because I don't think it's going to let me play it, which is crazy. I'm not shocked, but you know, let's see. Let's get to it.
Power on. Bluetooth pairing. Bluetooth connected.
All right, let's get it. Let's see. There we go.
Right, what's going on, bro?
All right, let's get to it. Hold on. I want to make sure this is the part on speaking on it.
Yes, PMF, check this out. So
this thing
see,
is
I ain't even get there yet, bro. Listen, I got like 7 months.
Yep, that's it.
Okay, and that's a minimum of everything. You know,
I had 4
saved. Anybody want to hop up? They got something.
Okay, hold on. I want to go back to where it actually is talking about. I'm reading.
He's getting 68 to 60.
Okay.
You know, there's certain things, even though we don't understand, like I said, people be thinking the Bible is about this, or that, but there's so much information there. With the story, the temple was built in this stone mountain, this big stone, huge stone mountain. So in the big, huge stone mountain, right, they had to have ways to fly through, you know, the mountains, so on and so forth. So this is how people, like when people say, well, how did they, you know, make these different caverns, and dig it through here and dig it through there, blah, blah, blah. I wish Red Squid could have came up. Let me see if I put his name in the chat. Because he has so many pictures. I told him I wanted to do a build on. Let me see. He has a lot, and he actually has pictures that depicts this whole story I'm telling you guys about, ancient pictures, which is crazy. And he's always showing them, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to put this information out because I haven't done the build yet. But I definitely, let me see.
Mental components serve as limited factors in transmission. They acquire survival characteristics.
So yeah, I would love for him to jump up and put a couple of these pictures up so you guys can actually see it. So let me start with this. Let's see if it's actually going to. In many ancient texts, a miracle device called the SHAMIR is mentioned. Many texts, like I told you that I've read for myself in ancient books, ancient texts, and ancient information. At least I'll have to say at least 16 different information tools about this, including the thought information, you guys familiar with that information, you know, so on and so forth. Emerald tablet. I mean, come on, there's like so many more to say. And they fascinate themselves even with the emerald tablet because the writing in the stone that it's made of, they're saying that they don't know, you know, where it's from, you know, how did it get written in, da 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 da. So this is the tool that was used when it came to the emerald
Yes,
tablet.
Chief.
The only tool that could have been.
It was the other day. Now, you know, that was literally just a few days ago, less than 5 days ago, bill. And when I did the bill, it's like, I don't know if the next day or the day after, because I haven't looked since then, because I wanted to do a part 2, if you guys remember. So when I went to look at it, because I had found the information about this worm from China invading the brain, I'm thinking like, wait a minute, this has got to be too much of a freaky coincidence. I swear things just be rolling out in the place. So sure enough, I go to look for the books, and I'm like, okay, where are the books? I had 4 of them saved in my my library that I've had in there already. I had 3 other books pulled up that I was reading information out of with you guys. I couldn't find any of those books first. So I'm like, okay, let me go back to my library. Go to my library. All of those books were gone as well. So when I say this is like real strange, especially around this time that they're bringing the information out about this worm, it's crazy. But yeah, let's listen to a little bit more of this book so you guys can see that I'm not tripping.
That would have been able to carve through that stone. So I'm going to read you guys a couple of excerpts.
Here it comes. Then I'm going to go to
in
the
many
video.
ancient texts, a miracle device called the SHAMIR is mentioned. It is used in lapidary work to make seal engravings on such hard stones for cutting large stones in quarries for the use in building the temples in Jerusalem, where iron tools were forbidden to be used. The most ancient of such texts known to the author are the following: the treatise Abba of the Babylonian Talmud, the beginning of the first age of AD. In chapter 5, it is written, SHAMIR was created in the 6 days of the world creation. It was unbelievable that such a miracle device had been constructed by man. The Mishnah treatise Sota, the beginning of the second age AD. It is written in chapter 9 that when the second temple was destroyed, the SHAMIR ceased. In the Sota 48b of the Babylonian Talmud 3 through 5 age AD, it is written that Moses brought the SHAMIR, and he actually used it for the Ten Commandments to write on the stone. That Moses brought the SHAMIR from the desert to make the ephod breastplate from the high priest Aaron according to the covenant. Then take 2 lazuli stones and engrave on them the names of the sons of Israel. That's in Exodus 28:9. You guys can use that as a reference if you want to go and check some of this information to get a better understanding of some of these things. And on the 2 stones you shall make seal in engravings, the work of lapidary of the names of the sons of Israel in Exodus 28:11. To fulfill these covenants was very complicated because it was forbidden to write and say the names of the Israel sons in ink. It was written engraved on them. As you can remember reading throughout the Bible, you'll hear different references that will say, write it on the heart, to write it on the person's heart, or engrave it in your heart, so on and so forth. At the time, it was forbidden to use any iron tools while making the ephod. For this work, Moses brought from the desert a special device, which was the SHAMIR, as it is written in Babylon. And there, keeping in mind, when we get into the story about the SHAMIR, this isn't just like, let me go to a workspace and get this tool. I'm going to see if I can, go borrow this from a family member or, so on and so forth. This particular tool is a tool that was supposedly received or retrieved from one of the great gods, or the devil, who actually has a name that we won't call right now. So, but we're going to get into all of that so you guys can get the story in a particular order. We are reading this just about the ancient skies and a few other pieces that will go with this. But let me continue. As it is written in Babylonian Talmud, Sata 48. Firstly, the names of the Israel sons have been written in the lazuli stones in ink. Then they were shown to the SHAMIR, and the places of the ink on the stones were engraved. The work of lapidary was burned out. In the treatise Gittin 68 to 69 of the Babylonian Talmud 3 through 5 ages AD, it was written that Solomon used the shamir. And as I said, I'll get into that story. Solomon used the shamir for building the first temple, as stated in the book of First Kings 6:7. First Kings 6:7. It will tell you about Solomon building the temple. When it was in building, was made of stones, made ready at the quarry. There was neither hammer nor axe nor any tool of iron heard in the house while it was in building. So said to the rabbis, how shall I manage without iron tools? They replied, there is the shamir, which Moses brought for the stones of the ephod. And Solomon obtained it from the Ashmedai, the prince of demons. Okay, this is the name. More than 30 years.
Important note, you guys hear that? This is from the Shamir stone. I'm gonna play the entire video, but we read a little bit of it. The story went that he actually sent the person to reach out to this demon god. The demon god was actually the person that held the Shamir stone, and Solomon had to retrieve it from him in order to be able to access it. So the thing, Solomon is in the Bible as this great king of wisdom. Why would he be using an evil, intricate piece to carve something that was so phenomenal as the temple of Solomon? Is in reverence everywhere, especially when it comes to like the Masonic stuff, so on and so forth. Keeping in mind the story of Solomon's temple is actually the mind itself. The story is talking about building of the mind, the shaping of the mind. About the shaping of the mind is this foretelling the story of now being able to use a Shamir, intricate robot worm, to invade the mind, as it has been doing so long. There has been so many things that have come to invade our mind when it comes to technology and the technical aspects, because we have been connected to everything via false light, which is a Luciferian light. That Luciferian light connects to us. We have a cellular tube, which is a light energy within the body, similar to blood. These particular genes are in our bone reference. And earlier today, one of the, I can't remember what, I think it was the Taz show, and how that is in the bones. And I'm like, yeah, definitely. And he confirmed that information. A lot of times information has to be confirmed for you to know that you are on the right track. And that definitely confirmed it. So with that, we have to think and keep in our mind that we are consistently being put in a false ascension, a false light, because the false light is what the matrix is. Everything is within the matrix, everything that is the essential intricacy of obtaining your spirit energy, the electromagnetic energy from the connection of your soul, which is the true light energy. So if the true light energy is separated, then there's a opposition. Now you have a force that you're battling through nature, the nature of the soul of man, versus the outer body experiences that you have, which is the physicalities that we are going through in this particular plane. So now when you thought that is the matrix puts in fine tuning on your binary system. The binary system is the coding or the light coding that is generated throughout your DNA. So now if that coding is manipulated, transferred, transgenerated, transmutated in a dehumanizing fashion, you now have the translucent energy of that particular false light impeding upon you. Now the false light is now taking over you. This is why when people go to church and they're in these particular temples that are built and constructed a certain way, even in being there, the energy that is consumed when people are praising and worshiping, all this energy is actually building up the Luciferian light, building up the energy within yourself. Energy is energy in motion. That just means that you have something fluctuating within your body. So now that energy you're bringing in motion, you're actually bringing it to a full light ascension, and it is actually composed upon your body, light that you are. Instead of the inner light, it being the bearer of the information, it being the one to take the control or assume the responsibility of everything, that particular light is diminished by the false ascension of the GMO light, which would be LED lighting, plasma light, the plasma TVs, the computer system, the PDA systems from our phones. Let me see. I think I had some pictures pulled up for you guys as well. I want you guys to see this. Hold on. Let me stop sharing this for a minute and let you actually get a little bit of an understanding of what I'm speaking on. And I'm sure you guys get it. You know, you guys are like what the best of the bunch. Like, it's like, what? Y'all like the best of the bunch. So let me give you an example here. We're going to show a few things, and then we're going to listen to some more of this because I want you guys, whoever didn't have an opportunity, to really get this. Now, looking at this picture, this shows you Kemet in Egypt, and it shows you the computer motherboard. Do you see they're exactly the same? Let me zoom in on this so you guys can see it. I don't know if anyone's ever seen this particular picture. It's not letting me zoom in. Dang it. Some pictures you can't zoom in on. But anyway, you guys can see this is Kemet. This is Egypt, right? And this is actually an actual computer motherboard, exactly the same, which lets you know the implementation of the Kemet in Egypt being built with the astrological energies of the solar system, which is actually us, which is inside of our minds. Our light is the light that is the same energy of the solar system, the cosmos that we are all connected to and a part of, that affects us and we affect it, right? So now this is the same thing that the computer is built off of, so it is able to connect to the same energy that the Christ or the Christos spirit or energy is impeded upon by the false light, and it's not hard to do. It is a wave formatted energy that actually impedes upon your cells. The degenerative properties are placed upon your cells to GMOly replace certain structures within your 666. Your carbon and everything that's in your body is affected by these things because it's a manipulation. Let me check on my chat. The evil man pretends to be the king. Yes, yes, bro. That's right. Yes, like, share, and subscribe, guys. You know my channel's being I don't ask you guys to do this, but if you can share it with a friend, this information definitely needs to be out, especially this one, talking about what's going on with these people releasing this worm that can be impeding in the brain, and they're trying to make it seem like, oh sure, you want to go ahead and get this, it's going to help you medically. Imagine all the people that are sick, that are looking for something to save them. At this point in time, they're going to be subjected to something like this and not understanding the whole factualities of it. Thank you, bro. I appreciate that. I'm trying to. I broke it down earlier a little bit, but I got interrupted. Someone came up, changed the whole subject. I didn't even get to get into everything. This is how these microchips work, guys. So the microchips that they're talking about, the way that impedes, Oh, hold on, guys. I got to take something. Give me 2 seconds. All right. So basically, these are the microchips that can be implanted. They're so small that they can go in with a needle. Okay. So they will be putting this into. What are you doing, Demiri? Hold on a second. All right, guys. grandbaby knocking stuff all over. Lord, I'm taking stuff out the oven. Okay, hold on. So let's talk about smart dust, guys. I've been telling you guys since I've been around YouTube about these nanoparticles and Morgellons. These are actually these small nanobots that can go in that are able to fit through a needle. It actually looks pretty large on that fingertip. It's probably enlarged. I doubt if that's a real finger, but just so you can get it. So smart dust was invented in 2001 by Christopher S.J. Pister, who is an electronic engineer and a computer scientist professor for the University of California. The DARPA, which is a NASA program, keeping that in mind, that's dealing with the solar, dealing with the so-called outer space. When you hear about NASA and dealing with outer space, the outer space is the body. So just keep that in mind. NASA has been funding smart dust research, heavily seeing that virtual limitless applications in the particular sphere. So keeping that in mind, when you're looking at, even when they're doing these, they're going out of space and da-da-da, when you look at the so-called ship, what does it look like? Doesn't it look just like a vaccination pump? It doesn't look like a spaceship. I'm not going to even get into that. Okay, let's look at this. This is a glimpse into the mechanics in the service and things that were going on in certain hotel, right? This hotel in what was the name of it? Wait a minute, it shows it because I forgot the name of it, guys. Hold on, I have to go to a different picture to find the name. The Ritz. Oh, it was the Ritz-Carlton. It was the Ritz-Carlton. Hold on, I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, the Ritz Carlton, if I'm not mistaken. It was in New York. Tesla actually stayed in the basement of this particular hotel. They used a technology to actually pick up the frequencies. They started wrapping everything. They wrapped the mirrors, they wrapped everything, and people were thinking, oh, they're coming into this hotel, this fancy ritzy hotel, and they got everything wrapped up for you, not knowing that they were using the wrapping, which was a cellophane wrap that actually picked up on the frequencies, and they were able to pick up on the energies of the people. You guys ever heard of that story? Look it up. Now I just want to show you that. This here, guys, do you guys remember the Buffalo shooting, right? Do you guys remember one of the gentlemen that was talking to the lady about the shooting, and he was saying, oh, the guy was so nice, and I talked with him, and he was so intelligent, and da 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 da. He had this on his shirt. He had this image on his shirt. Check out Tinfoil Media. Tinfoil Media did an actual build on it, and I was trying to tell him that this was referring to like the Kings and some other things that were relating to kind of what's going on. And this particular picture on quantum computing shows you the power of the parallel worlds and how there are multiple dimensions that we can actually access. And we've discussed that as well. We just talked about that yesterday. Let me not get off topic. Let me get to the rest of these pics for y'all real quick. Get through this, and then we can finish listening to some more of the book. The means of computing that looking at the chair that you're sitting in as yourself is nothing there. Everything that we look at that we think is physical is actually not even there. We can pick up an object, this shit not there. Like everything is just literally, This is how this works, guys. The computing system, everything is going through the computer, the monitor, then it reaches you. Your brain is actually connected. That same system I showed you where the Egypt and Kemet and everything is the same as the motherboard. It connects through a cellular celestial system. This is the same way that the computer works through you. This is the same way. They have a patent to actually use this technology against us. United States patent 6,506,148. B2. You'll be able to find that, look that up for yourself, get the information. This is measured with the monitor, showing the information, the infrared energy, so on and so forth. These documents, if you wanted to kind of look them up, there are particular documents containing this. I'll read a little bit of this in response to stimulation on the skin, the magnetic fields that are pulsed with certain thing is cut off. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't get a good pic of this. a half a hertz or 2.4 hertz, such as to excite a sensory system and the computer monitors and TV tubes, where all images emit pulse electromagnetic amplitudes to cause such excitation within the person. It is a stimulation to manipulate the nervous system of all and any images displayed on a nearby computer, and for a latter, an image pulsing for many other programming materials. Or it may be an overlay of a video stream, either as an RF signal or as a reliable image that is displayed on a computer monitor effectively by a simple computer programming monitors, pulse electromagnetic fields, sensory renaissances in nearby subjects, even as the displayed images are and pulses are intense. So as I'm sitting here in front of my computer, it's actually using the electromagnetic pulses from the monitor to actually mess with my sensory system and the renaissances that are in my body. For computer monitor, the images can be produced by a suitable computer program. The pulse frequency may be controlled throughout keyboard input so that the subject can tune to an individual sensory renaissance. Okay. We use a quantum computer based on our own neural network, on the neural network. Unfortunately, some of that technology was passed down to us to be used for a very specific purpose. Imagine Russian dolls and you have a pretty good idea of the true nature of our reality. If you guys aren't familiar with the Russian dolls, it's the stackable dolls. It looks almost like an egg and they go inside each other and it just keeps unfolding until it gets down. This is the impression of reality and the different dimensions and phases that you go through, and that is on the inner circle of a person. We are manipulating, yet also being manipulated from the outside. Give me just 1 second, guys. I want you guys to just look at this. I'll be right back. Now, before I even get into computer viruses versus biological viruses, let's listen to a little bit more about the SHAMIR worm. Check this out, guys. Ago, I realized that the SHAMIR had the same ability as that of the contemporary laser. The same ability as that of the contemporary laser. The discovery and the construction of which was one of the distinguished achievements of the science and the engineering. Therefore, in some of my lectures, I appeal to scientists to investigate all historical sources about the SHAMIR. Let us investigate here the historical reality of all that has been written about the SHAMIR. First, we note that the historical reality that the epoch existed more than 1,000 years from the time of Moses. Millions of Jews saw the two stones attached to the shoulder piece of the ephod worn by the high priest. Too many of them, it was known that the names of the 12 sons of Israel of the lazuli stones of the ephod had been engraved by means of a miracle device, the SHAMIR. We further note the historical reality of the existence of the two temples in Jerusalem, and that they had been built without using any iron, any tools, also by means of the miracle device, the SHAMIR. These essential questions remain. Who constructed the SHAMIR? Where did Moses get the SHAMIR? Who invented the SHAMIR? Where then, more than 3,000 years ago, the first similar device, the laser, constructed by T.H. Mahmad in 1960 AD. The answer to all of these questions may be the extraterrestrial visitors from Earth. So we know about the meat and the bones. This we know throw that piece of shit out. Okay, excuse my mouth, y'all. Oh my gosh. This means that in the time of Moses, there was a paleo contact. When they say extraterrestrial, we know they're talking about demons.
so on and so forth. A lot of people get it to their mind certain things when it comes to these different energies and these orbs, and you know let me not even get to that. Let's just keep reading. Moses was given the device for generating laser rays along with instructions for its use. The Shamir was destroyed along with the destruction of the second temple of Solomon. So now what they're saying, they're talking about some alien, this, and that. But when we read some of the stories from of the older temples, when they talk about, and you'll see this, they talk about it there. They show, and you can see this in the court. Oh, I wish Red Square had some of those pictures he had up there. I wish I could have borrowed some. Yes, hold on 1 second, guys.
I want you guys to be watching this as we're reading. I'm showing you these are, look at this, attached to the .exe or the .com files, and it integrates in the DNA. These are all the similarities, everything compared to the body versus the computer. Computer viruses and biological viruses. A biological virus is a virus that can attach to you. Keep that in mind. I'm going to finish going through these as it's reading.
The boreholes in the hard diorite stone at the Abuzar in Egypt, with part of the core visible that was not fully extracted. Let me kind of zoom in for you guys so you can see. These are the holes they're talking about that the stone, the Shamir would make it with type of a drill or something of the sort. And yes. We go again.
Source code called behaviors of virus. Genotypes called as phenotypes, including behavior.
So, let me go back out a little bit. We can get to reading a little bit more of this for you guys. Okay. Now, in Jewish mythology, there are memories of a magic worm. In Jewish mythologies, they call them mythologies. They had a whole bunch of stories. I may read one of those now, but maybe I'll do that in part 2. But they have a bunch of stories that go back to Jewish mythology, talking about these magical worms, this, and that. As I said, maybe on part 2, I can have Red Squid join me. I definitely want you guys to see these pictures because they are literally engraved in caves from like thousands and thousands of years ago. There is no reason for there to be proof of these engravings. And then this particular information coincides. So I'm definitely going to have him join me with that, and we'll be able to show you some more pictures just like the one we just saw. And we'll kind of go from there. So now, in Jewish mythology, there are memories of the magic worm known as the Shamir, and it is the Shamir worm, okay, which was used to build Solomon's temple, among other tasks. According to the traditions, it was a diamond drill. It was a diamond drill, and as you see the holes. They're perfectly symmetrical. Okay, but not of the earthly construction. It came from the workshop of the legendary Watchers of Heaven. So this is something that they say came from the Watchers, which would be what? The Nephilim, which would be what? The parasitic physical entities of atoms that came into effect, so on and so forth, coming in to mix with the spirit nature beings, the starlight beings, so on and so forth. You guys have to keep in mind, some of the stories not going to be as clear. You have to use your discernment. I can't break it all down, but let's just keep it moving. Could this provide the answer to the puzzle of the boreholes in the Abuzis in Europe and in Egypt, and of the technology used in other mysterious buildings around the world? Which they always say that they're like, oh, I wonder what they had, what they used, and they have these. Squid did something that had these little boxes, and they were like, they probably were for connecting energy or using for energy, some type of energy device, possibly like a battery, so on and so forth. So now when he did that, it made me think about this. So I'm like, maybe they were carrying around the Shamirs in these cases because they could bore through certain things. They have to have a specific certain type of case that it could not get through because it could bore through certain stones and things. So this is very important in being able to transmit it or take it to other places, so on and so forth. So it gets very, very freaking interesting, guys. I'm gonna tell you. I'm hoping I get a lot of this to you guys, so you guys can look into it yourself. So when we do part 2,
I'm sad I didn't because they gone now, y'all. That's crazy.
That's from there. So on and so forth. Okay. Now the temple pyramid of the Sahara at Abuzi dates from the Old Kingdom, the 5th dynasty, in catalog 2475 to 2345 BC. Mysterious boreholes can be seen in several of the hard diorite stones around the temple, which could easily be taken for modern boring. But how could this be? There's absolutely no mention of diamonds or diamond drills or well-developed drilling technology from the time of the Old Kingdom. So I do believe in ancestors, possibly bringing certain technologies. Like I said, I was, expounding on how all the technologies that we think is like new is like really old. Like this stuff is so, and they bring it to us and we think like, oh, this is new technology. No, it's like old technology. Okay, a possible solution is to be found in the traditions of the neighboring Jewish culture in the Talmud. And yes, in the Talmud, there's the story of the Shalom, or I believe it's Shalom, who actually was tricked and taken over by one of these particular parasitic worms. Like the beach, man, these stories get so crazy, guys. I know a lot of things are myth, but a lot of the things when they coincide, there's particular areas of the story that you have to use with discernment and common sense when you're looking at ancient writings, different things that you see in these particular stories, so on and so forth, can give you a lot of different information. So let's see. And you may be able to hear it on someone else's channel because, somebody's going to, now that they see me speaking on this, they're going to be talking about it. Somebody will bring it up and, possibly find some more information. And I would love to see that, to possibly even enjoy that. I look forward to that. So let's just hope we can get some clarity on this because I'm not 100% clear on all of it and everything that has transpired. But when you think about all of the stories, the Hindu, Jerusalem, the temples being built. It talks about the chosen ones, so on and so forth. All the different stories, and then it surely coincides with the building of the Solomon's temple. The stories that are in the Bible, man, it's like really crazy. I can't tell it all right now. There's just so much, but I'm gonna try and put you guys there as best I can, and with a little bit of your own studies, you'll be able to get a little bit of the insight, a little more clearer. And it makes it a little easier. Let's see. Damn, I'm able to do this. Okay, let's go. Excuse me. A possible solution is to be found in the traditions of the neighboring Jewish culture. Okay, we have read that. We're going through that. We had to point to all the information available with this diamond and worms. What was that? Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, so the Jewish legends speak of the worm that bored through the hardest minerals. It was called the Shamir and was described in the Talmud. The Pisakim 54a, if I'm pronouncing it wrong, sorry guys, in that particular Talmud information, as a cutting worm, and in the Zohar 74 AD as a metal splitting worm. Although these names speak quite plainly, the Bible goes further and describes it as a diamond. The sin of Judah is written with a pen of iron and with the point of a diamond shamir. Oh, do it. Say that now. Jeremiah 17:1. I might have to quote these things. Jeremiah 17:1. I'm going to read a couple of them. Not everything, but a couple of these Bibles so you guys are more familiar with the Bible verses. Go to Jeremiah 17, verse 1.
According to web.ed.edu, I, the Lord, search the heart and examine the mind, to reward a man according to his conduct, according to what his deeds deserve.
Okay. Let me get that 14 left. That did not give me any clarity on nothing they was talking about. So let's just see.
Peace, sis.
No, you're sick.
Okay.
No, you sick.
One. Really, Dee Dee? You don't have to go out the door every time your dad leaves. Stop.
Oh gosh, this old right here is very hard to read. The line of Judah is written with a pen of iron, with the point of a diamond, is graved up on the tablet of their heart. Okay, as we read earlier in the other book, right? And upon the horns of your altar, whether their children remember their altars and the groves by the green trees upon the high hills. Okay, so that's talking the prior book that we were reading. Remember, it said that it was talking about the horn. Oh gosh, it was talking about the horn, so on and so forth. So boom. Okay, let's keep moving. All right. According to all the information available, this diamond cutting worm was not an everyday object and accessory to everyone, but was some kind of a divine tool, only rarely entrusted to human hands. This could well be a possible explanation for the fact that in the minds of ancient Oriental people, precious stones were materials from the world of heaven. This led later to the religious use of jewels for carving into images of deities, or for decorating buildings dedicated to them. Under instructions from Moses, the shamir was employed by two so-called stone cutters, Bezalel, and Aholiab from the tribes of Judah and Dan, to engrave the stones on the high priest's breastplate, the ephod. And the stones shall be with the names of the children of Israel, 12, according to their names, like the engravings of a signet. This is in Exodus 28:21. Exodus 28:21. You guys can look it up on your own. Like the engravings of the signet, Exodus 28:21. These men were just two of many who had been prepared and trained from the beginning for the construction of the so-called tabernacle and its equipment. And thou shalt speak unto all that are wise-hearted, whom I have filled with the spirit of wisdom. Exodus 28:3. Then wrought Bezalel and Aholiab, and every wise-hearted man in whom the Lord put wisdom and understanding to know how to work all manner of work for the service of the sanctuary. Exodus 36:1. Wisdom and understanding to know how were needed as much in those days as they are today for skilled handwork. The authors of the Old Testament would not have told us this, that the Lord put wisdom and understanding into the man, unless some special training was needed. Had normal earthly techniques been used, no heavenly instruction would have been called for. The training was necessary only because some hitherto unknown technology was being used. In this case, the maintenance and use of the divine diamond drill, the shamir. The following report on the use of such a cutting worm tells us that the shamir came in different models and sizes. When King Solomon had the temple of the Lord built on the instructions of Yahweh, none of the available metal tools were to be used in the preparing and the necessary stone block. Neither hammer nor chisel nor any iron tool were allowed. For the shamir did split everything, so that no other equipment was necessary for the work. In Zohar 74a. Already cut precisely to size by a shamir, the stones arrived at the actual building site, ready for immediate use, and the house when it was in building, and was built of stone made ready before it was brought thither, so that there was neither hammer nor axe nor any tool heard in the house while it was in building. 1 Kings 6:7. Further, in this instance, the cutting worm did not come from a human's tool chest, but was made by an earth-dwelling watcher of heaven. Listen up.
was made by an earth-dwelling watcher of heaven by the name of Ashmodai. According to the Jewish lexicon, in volume 4 in 1984, the shamir in the Bible, thorn, barb, hard diamond, the legendary worm which Solomon is said to have used for building the temple, was splitting the stone so as not to contravene the regulation. If you build me an altar of stones, build it not from yin hand, for when you have swung the iron against it, you have profaned it. The legend tells us that Solomon, in his unlimited wisdom and knowledge of nature, had discovered in the shamir a worm as small as a barley corn, whose power could cut the stones. These tools, which obviously came in different sizes for engravings, drilling and cutting, hold on, guys. I didn't throw it out here. Keep my place. Drilling and cutting, all generally known as the shamir, could also provide an explanation for the innumerable and apparently inexplicable works of stone to be found all around the globe. In Hunaki, in Puma Panka, in Saksi Human, y'all, I'm sorry. I know I'm botching half of these things. Anatolia and elsewhere. Obviously, the gods were operating busily long before Moses' time, and not only in Israel. The Egyptian kingship myth reports how the provide and much discussed indication that this magic worm did once actually exist. Perhaps the earliest literary mention of its use by the strangers from space is to be found once again in the Bible. And he gave unto Moses when he had made an end of communion with him upon Mount Sinai 2 tablets of testimony, tables of stone written with the finger of God, Exodus 31:18, as was it written with the shamir. Translator's memo. I came across the shamir many times in my research for the book The Mana Machine. Some sources describe it as an insect, which I think must be a mistranslation of the Latin insector, cutting in. Insect have cut in bodies.
Insectoid.
Hence the name, the description worm
Parasite.
is
Insectoid. Parasite. You're thinking about the bug from the parasite that they will be emitting. This is the same thing we're thinking about, a parasitic infiltration impeding on your brain.
Worms make holes. As to how the Israelites acquired the shamir, they were after all in Egypt erecting the pyramids according to their own accord. And surely there's nothing new about workers stealing tools from building sites. The sensational find in Russia. Let me check my chat just in case anybody has any input, anything you guys are, want to say. Anybody want to hop up?
Stop that right there, guys. We're going to read a little bit from this other book here in this particular segment, and I'm going to end in about 45 minutes. I have a live second part for that Naga video. We're going to get into that, which synchronizes with other biological events as the ecosystem, which together permit progression and usually a host and release ecosystem are satisfactory for further. Now, I want you guys to make sure you understand. I want you to have the understanding of what they're saying about these parasites and the nature somewhat. I'm going to read probably another 2 pages, and we're going to move on. And this is definitely in relation to the title. Do not think that I am not on the title, because about these the Shamir worm and the building and so forth. But
Thank you. I got it here. Okay. Okay. It suggested that a specific immunoglobulin with such receptors provide the host protein code by which these organisms affect their disguise. A further feature of the survival in their host is the reduced reactivity parasites upon their entry into a host, which would be, any of these things coming into you, including like nanoparticles. The Morgellons I've spoke to you about, they're more parasitic versus nanoparticles, which are technical of a genome. So just keep that in mind. They're similar, but not quite the same. Leventhal and Salisbury, 1776. These are all reference books or people that have done studies, guys. So I don't know if you guys want to look them up. I haven't taken time. I just want to read through this. They have shown vitally in terms of binding of the immunoglobulins, the action of polymorphonucleus, nuclear, leukocytes. Okay. This could be interpreted as a mechanism whereby a parasite achieves an initial advantage on invasion of the host. Temporary. On the next 45 guys, I'll be back with part 2 of the NAGA'S. So we will continue there. I hope you guys are getting an understanding of this and knowing how critical it is, especially with this new information with this robot worm that they're talking about impeding your brain. We need to be very aware of these things and knowing that this stuff has been going on since the beginning of time in so many ways, using certain things against us. And now they find a way to use a certain binding parasite that has been against us for a while. So what we need to do, guys, is just make sure that, hold on, now wants to go. Let me stop it.
Obviously, in 1970.
Yes, so guys, what we need to do is make sure we're aware of this. Make sure you share this information with your friends and family so that they are able to get this, knowing how intricate this particular piece, Chief, peace, brother, knowing how intricate this particular piece of information is. We have to make sure that people are aware. And earlier, I don't know if you guys recall, but it also can be found in like warm water. So be careful with tap water. Please do not be drinking tap water. Even when it comes to brushing your teeth, be very careful not to consume anything that is found in warm water because they can be found that way. Also said that they can travel through pipes. This could be definitely a chemical warfare, a spiritual warfare to impede upon us through the transmittal of parasitic behavior and nature. So make sure you're spreading this information to your friends and family, and I'll be back with you guys shortly.